Major League Soccer is getting closer to what I believe could be one of the most important decisions the league makes over the next several years: the next MLS media rights deal. And before we talk about what the deal should look like, I think it's important to understand the history of how MLS has actually been broadcasted in this country, because the league has tried a lot of different things over the last 30 years. When MLS launched in 1996, ESPN and ABC were there basically from the beginning, along with Univision on the Spanish language side. But the media business around MLS looked completely different back then. These weren't always the massive rights fees agreements that we associate with leagues like the NFL or NBA today. Some of those early arrangements were essentially time buys, where MLS was trying to get its product on television and make the economics work through advertising. Hey, real quick, make sure you guys hit that like button down below if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The 2026 MLS season part 2 has officially started. We got the transfer window, we got the MLS Cup playoffs at the end of the year, and everything in between you guys are not going to want to miss. So please make sure you guys are subscribed and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. But that started to change as you get into the 2000s. In 2003, Fox became a national MLS broadcasting partner, and they would carry the league through 2011. Then around 2007, MLS finally started receiving more meaningful traditional rights fees. ESPN's agreement was reportedly worth somewhere around $7 to $8 million annually. Fox Soccer had its own deal reportedly worth around $11 million over 5 years, while Univision also signed a much larger long-term Spanish language agreement. So already you had MLS games appearing in a number of different places, but then something happened that I think a lot of newer MLS fans probably don't even remember. In 2012, NBC Sports replaced Fox Soccer. MLS signed a 3-year agreement with NBC reportedly worth around $12 million per year. Most of those games are on NBC Sports Network, but MLS actually had games on NBC Broadcast Network as well, and ESPN was still carrying MLS at the same time. I think that's important when we're talking about exposure, because MLS wasn't tied almost entirely to one platform. You had games appearing on networks that millions of American sports fans were already watching. Then in 2015, Fox came back. MLS and US Soccer signed an 8-year agreement with ESPN, Fox, and Univision that ran through 2022. The combined package was worth roughly $90 million per year. ESPN and Fox accounted for $75 million of that for the English language rights, with Univision adding roughly around $15 million for the Spanish language package. And once again, this wasn't only about money, it was about exposure. If you were watching ESPN on Sunday, you could come across MLS. If you were watching Fox, you could come across MLS. Even if you were watching Spanish language sports television, MLS was on Univision. You didn't necessarily have to already have an MLS account or be a fan to be exposed to MLS. And that's the part that I think we really need to remember when we get into the Apple TV deal. Beginning in 2023, MLS completely changed its strategy. Apple agreed to guarantee MLS at least $2.5 billion over its original 10-year agreement, roughly $250 million per year on average. Financially, that's obviously an entirely different level from what MLS had been receiving before, but there are things I really like about the Apple TV deal. Every game is available, there are no local blackouts, the production is consistent, you know exactly where your team's game is going to be. However, I also have to mention that MLS also has to cover the production costs for all their games for Apple TV, so that does cut into the $250 million annually budget. But I think the biggest question has always been, how many new people are actually finding MLS? Because of the first 3 years, most of the league lived inside the MLS Season Pass. And if you're already an MLS fan, you're going to find MLS Season Pass. But the casual sports fan, NBA fan, just general soccer fan, that person who just watched the World Cup and might be willing to give MLS a chance, are they going out of their way to find it? Now, to their credit, MLS and Apple have changed that model in 2026. The standalone Season Pass is gone, and every MLS game is now included with a regular Apple subscription. And MLS still has Fox, a linear television partner, which has given the league at least some presence on traditional television during the Apple era. But now the Apple agreement itself has also been shortened and is scheduled to end following the 2028-2029 season. And that means MLS is going to have another opportunity. And when the opportunity comes, I don't think this can simply be who gives MLS the biggest check. Obviously, the money matters, but I think the exposure has to be just as important. How do you make MLS easier for casual fans to discover? How do you get the league talked about on major sports networks throughout the week? How do you put your biggest matches in front of millions of people who aren't already MLS fans? And how do you capitalize on everything that just happened with the 2026 World Cup? Because the next MLS media deal isn't only going to determine where we watch Major League Soccer, it could determine how many people are watching it. And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, this is the most important thing MLS is going to do in the near future. Even more important than the roster rules, like I said, the media deal sets everything else up. It is going to help this league grow the most. Now, are the roster rules an important piece to it? Yes, because it can increase how much money they get, but this media deal literally will change whether MLS is where it exactly is at right now or takes it into a whole other stratosphere. And the number one thing I want to talk about, and there's a couple different things, but it's exposure. How does MLS reach people who aren't already fans? We saw at the World Cup that soccer is booming in America. People want to watch soccer. The final got 60 million views combined with Univision and on Fox. 60 million people watched the final of Spain versus Argentina. There are people that want to watch soccer. They enjoy it. They are finding interest in it. And the U.S. men's national team numbers were good too. They were doing like 30, 40 million views on their games. We have proven now that the United States is in fact a soccer country and they are craving a domestic league that can fit their needs. So, like I said, how does MLS reach some of those people who aren't already fans? I think they need to do a better job of exposure, right? Having platforms that are a media partner that's going to show them to the casual fans. That is most important. They need to have, like, Apple TV made games easy to find for existing fans that already knew about it or dialed in, but not necessarily easy to discover for casual fans who are new to the sport, who want to check it out. They're just not into it like that. It's more of a like, okay, it's on Fox, it's on ESPN, I'm going to watch it. They're not going to go out of their way to go check MLS out. Maybe they do one time, but you're going to limit how many people are going to go check it out. It's not going to be as many as it probably should be. So it's going to be harder for casual fans to discover. And also, Major League Soccer needs big games on major networks and much stronger promotion. Apple TV sounded good in theory at the time because the money that I thought they were getting, which money's the next thing we'll talk about, but their promotion for Major League Soccer has been very lackluster. They talked about how they were going, there's so many people in America that have an iPhone, and how they were going to promote MLS to people who have iPhones. I never seen a full rollout of that really made any impact. They haven't put out any commercials that I've ever seen promoting it consistently. And it feels like they're roommates, right? That's all they are. They don't have any, they just pay their share of rent. They don't really work together. They do their own thing. Cold shoulder roommates. And that's not what they need. They need a partner. They need someone who can work with them. They need someone that can coincide, that can do what needs to do to promote this league and make it stronger and more appealing and a broader reach to people. And the 2026 World Cup makes this especially important because, like I said earlier, we saw all these people in the United States who have an interest in soccer, crave soccer, but they just don't have the fix or the domestic league yet to fit their needs. Major League Soccer has fans, but there's so many fans in this country that they have not reached yet, and they have got to do a better job of exposing the league to these people, getting them in, and having them stay and support their league. Now, the next thing is money. MLS obviously needs to keep increasing media revenue. In the 2015 through 2022 deal, they were getting $75 million because it was $90 million, but they had to give $15 million to the U.S. Soccer Federation, so it was really $75 million split between, I think they were at like 28 teams that time. That's not a lot of money. And then in 2023, they signed the Apple TV deal for 10 years for $250 annually. But like I said earlier in the video, that's a little deceiving because they have to pay for their own production cost. Apple doesn't pay for production. They don't. So MLS is really only making about between 160 to 190 a year, splitting it between 30 teams. That's not very good. That shrinks the pie significantly and is only like $5 to maybe $6 million annually for each team. That pales in comparison to other sports leagues in America. Hell, even the Premier League is getting $475 million just in America, $475 annually, split between 20 of their teams. So it pales in comparison to other, and that, and I'm not saying that the media rights is the most important thing. as far as the revenue. The revenue does matter, but the exposure matters probably a little bit more, but they have to get more money and they have to get better exposure. That's why they need a real partner. But the biggest check doesn't automatically show that they're going to change the league, or it's going to change the league, because that's Apple technically did offer the biggest check, even with the production costs, and it hasn't changed anything. It hasn't changed anything. Now, they did make a mistake with the season pass, to where they were going to hopefully get more people to subscribe and then Major League Soccer could make more money, but that failed miserably. It didn't work out. And so they changed it to where everyone who has Apple TV gets MLS, regular season games and playoff games, all the MLS games. And that, I think, has helped quite a bit. I do think more people are watching it, but I just don't think the numbers are what they need to be. And if we're comparing it to other US leagues, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, they use multiple media partners. Having it in one spot, and they do have some games on Fox as like linear games, but it's a very, very sideshow thing. Like I said, it's not getting a lot of attention. It's not getting a lot of promotion like Apple TV is supposed to, as their primary partner. All these other leagues have multiple media partners, and they're casted broad and wide, so all kinds of different people can watch it in the entire country. They combine broadcast, TV, cable, streaming, all these different avenues. And I think that is what MLS really should do. They shouldn't, they don't need to be in just one spot. They need to have it on other stuff, so many people can see their games, get exposure, and have a chance to watch Major League Soccer. MLS should probably do the same thing instead of relying too heavily on one platform to do all their games. Hey everyone, quick word from our sponsor, FanDuel. If you're into soccer like I am, you already know how exciting La Liga, the Premier League, and MLS matches can get. With FanDuel, you can make it even more fun by placing bets on your favorite teams and matches across all three leagues. Whether it's a Premier League showdown, a La Liga thriller, or an MLS game with your local club, FanDuel makes it easy and exciting to bet on what you watch. Just remember, you have to be 21 years or older to play. Please bet responsibly and only if you're of legal age and in a state where it's allowed. Download the FanDuel app or head over to FanDuel.com, sign up, and get in on the action. Thanks for supporting the channel through FanDuel. So what do I think the ideal deal looks like? Now, there's a lot of different partners out there that they could go with. Apple TV was probably the worst partner they could go with just based on numbers, right? They only have 45 million people subscribed to Apple TV. That's the latest numbers that I could find. 45 million worldwide, okay? So Netflix, I think, has 200 million. Amazon, I think, has like 180 million. Apple is the smallest big streaming platform that there is. But if you look at it, how many Americans have CBS? Every American has CBS. CBS is in like 99 to 100% of homes in all of America. Same with Fox. Same with ABC. They have all these networks, right? So not having their games on a network like that consistently limits who can watch their games. So my idea deal is they do multi-platform, multi-different media partners, I should say, and split it up and get it as far and wide as you possibly can. Now, you can keep Apple style benefits like every game, no blackouts, in one place for certain games, like the bulk of games, but there needs to be primary big time games that people can watch on a major network, right? Look at the NFL, for example. Now, NFL is a juggernaut. We know that. It's the biggest league in the world. It is. It's the biggest league in the world. Sports league. Makes the most money of any league in the world. They have Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football on all three different networks. NBC, NFL Network slash Amazon Prime, and ESPN. That's what they do. They spread it out far and wide, and they have CBS and Fox as well, but they spread it out far and wide, and that's what MLS needs to do. They can have all their games on Apple TV and Netflix, the bulk games, but they need to have these big games on an ABC, on a Fox, on a CBS. They need to have a partner who's going to show their games on the big network for many people to watch. That has got to happen. They need someone who will help them grow and promote their league. They have never done this. They have never had this. They need this bad. They need an actual partner. They need a big media partner who will promote their stuff. They need to add a major national TV partner for weekly games, and they need to promote them as the game of the week. You have to watch it. It's the Monday Night Football of soccer, the Monday night soccer in MLS, and that's what it has to be. They have to have promotion as a part of the deal too. They have to get a partner who is going to actively say, next week we have El Tráfico, LAFC versus LA Galaxy. Next week we have Inter Miami versus Orlando City. Next week we have New York City FC versus the New York Red Bulls, and so on and so forth. They need someone who can get these games hyped up, get these people excited, because the promotion, marketing in Major League Soccer, from the league itself to the media partners they have, is lackluster, non-existent, a disappointment, an absolute embarrassment. That has to change so people can get excited and also be reminded where the games are, when they're going to be, how they can watch it. That is so important. That is very, very important for Major League Soccer going forward. The most important. And the reason why I say the media deal is so important too, why it's the most important thing for Major League Soccer, is because I'm telling you, media rights deals are the lifeline of every sports league in the entire world. The Premier League would not be the Premier League if it didn't have its media rights deal with Sky Sports or any other broadcasting partner they have outside the UK. The NFL would not be the NFL without its, I think it's, what is it, 12 billion? Is it 12 billion annually? Maybe that's crazy. Maybe it's not 12 billion. Maybe it's like 10 billion. But they get like 10 billion annually. The NFL does for their media rights. 10 billion annually. That's why the NFL is a juggernaut. That's why it is so powerful and wealthy and strong and healthy, because of its media rights deal. Yes, fans buying tickets, buying jerseys to the stadium, memorabilia, whatever, merchandise is a good way to make extra money, but the media rights still is the lifeline. It has to be the lifeline of your league. It's just that's how you become successful, how your league grows. So they have to get this right. Now, when the Apple TV deal was signed in 2023, I was initially excited, but then when I saw the 10-year deal, I'm like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. $250 million a year. And then obviously the production cost, but that doesn't really account for inflation and stuff. Like that could be a bad deal in a couple years, and it has aged badly. Luckily, MLS was able to get out of this deal early in 2028, 2029, rather than having to wait the extra 3 years, and they can go back to market. Now, they did sign that deal before they signed Lionel Messi, right? If we had Lionel Messi in the league when they were negotiating, they probably would have got a better deal. But that just shows that people do care about who's in your league, and they want to see great product. They want to see big stars. That's what's going to allure some of these people to want to watch what you have to offer. And that's why MLS must do their spending change ASAP to maximize this media deal. Now, the commissioner of Major League Soccer, the new commissioner, Larry Berg, recently said in an interview, we're going to try to get the new media rights deal, or get the new roster rule changes, done before the new season 2027-2028 that starts in July of 2027. They were going to try to get it done before then, but that's not good enough. They need to get it done ASAP. They need to get it done before the sprint season, which starts in February, because if the media rights deal ends in 2029 with Apple, I promise you this, I've been keeping up with media rights for a long time. These leagues start negotiating with the media partners 12 months to 18 months before the deal is over with. If that's the case, that means that they're going to be negotiating in May of 2028, maybe even January of 2028. They have got to get the league in a better place product-wise when they go to media, when they go to market. They have got to increase the spending and help make the product look a lot more appealing to where media partners are going to want to invest in them too. So if they wait to do this until the media rights deal, they're doing it all wrong, and it's going to make it more difficult for them to get what they're looking for. And I forgot to even mention this: the MLS is looking to get between $400 and $500 million annually for their media rights deal. $400 to $500 million annually. That would be doubling what they're currently making, and in some cases tripling if you count the production costs, because from what I understand, they want the new media partner to pay for the production of the league. So they have got to get these roster rule changes done ASAP, get the product in a better spot before they go to market or start negotiating with other potential media partners. And they have to get this right. It is so important. They cannot screw it up again. And by the way, the fact that they're ending this early tells me they know that it was not a good deal. And I think that might be a reason why Don Garber is not going to be the commissioner going forward, because I believe that he would probably want to continue doing this job. That's just my inclination of it. I think he would want to continue doing this, but I think that they were really disappointed with the media rights deal, how it played out throughout the rest of its contract life. So that's just my opinion on it. I'm curious to know what all you guys think about this. If you agree, disagree, what do you think is most important with the next media rights deal? Let me know in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give us a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.